Hi, I'm Mindy Stern.
I'm JD Cargill.
And I'm Michelle Arago, and this is Friendsome Then Some.
We are three best friends who met over 2 decades ago working in LA's local news scene, and we started this podcast to listen, learn, and laugh. Oh, do we laugh? On our journey to improving the midlife experience through the incredible power of friendship.
And each week we rip back the curtain on midlife, candidly exposing the biggest issues facing middle-aged people, often by sharing the intimate details of our own lives and our friendship. Through expert guests and celebrity interviews, we offer friendship-based tips, tricks, hacks, and solutions to living your best midlife. We are Midlife AF
And Flossom AH.
So here we go. It's
Friendsome Then Some.
Wake up, everybody. Here we are.
Hello, friends. It's Friendsome Then Some. We're back.
guys.
Hi. Holy Rooster Crow, Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy midlife, Batman.
Holy midlife. Holy blonde hair, JD. It's still working. I'm just
Do
curious.
you like that? Do I look like a super villain or a superhero with
Kind
this
of
color?
like a villain.
No hesitation, folks. No hesitation. They knew. I don't know where my camera is. I'm looking all over the place. That is funny.
Isn't it always the bleach blonde guy that's really
I mean, think of Avatar, that captain.
I'm trying to
sexy
channel
and
my best
well-dressed,
Zach
coming down the
Norris.
street like
Think of how many there are.
what was
villains.
that in
It's-
Terminator when he turned into like that?
He wasn't bleach
Oh,
blonde.
yeah. He was bald, I think, right?
No.
Oh, no.
He
Which
had,
one?
Had good hair.
Oh, I'm thinking of
Well,
the
you
silver
might
guy.
be bald if you bleach at least two
Keep
more
going.
times.
You'll
You
be
might-
bald
Who
soon.
are famous blondes? No Marilyn Monroe?
Charlize Theron.
Yes. Oh, love her.
Yes.
Although
she's
a
always
great
like,
villain.
sometimes she's got dark hair, I think.
yeah.
Anyway, we don't have a villain on the show.
I still
No,
think
we don't have a
Dancing
villain
with
on the
my
show
Stars.
today.
The ultimate
A
boy
hero.
wonder. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Tell us, JD.
I can't wait to. I love it. I get to do the duty since I'm the entertainment
the duty.
reporter guy. Well,
Holy
was.
intro, Batman.
Was once. We all are, actually. Listen, from Cape Crusader to Canine Crusader, we know him as television's Robin, the sidekick to Batman. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Burt Ward. Yay! Oh, Tom. Oh,
God,
God.
the audience.
The
So
fans,
excited.
The fans love you, Burt. They love
Hello,
you.
citizens.
Hello,
Love it.
citizens.
Gotham City.
From space.
Oh my God, I love it. Hi, Bert.
How are you, Burt? What's going on?
Oh, geez. Still fighting heinous villains wherever they rear their ugly head.
I
You're in the right place.
love it.
He's here to kill
villain
us.
right here. Here's a villain right here.
I'm no villain. I'm a lover.
Yes, you
So,
are.
Bert, I'm so excited that you're here today. We've been so looking forward to talking to you. Michelle does such a good job of bringing the best guests on our show. I can't wait for people to hear your story because it went from Cape Crusader to Canine Crusader. What happened?
What happened?
Actually, and now also to Cat and Kitten Crusader.
That's right.
Well, as you know, of course, I played Robin in the TV series Batman, 120 episodes, 2 Batman movies, and since then, a lot of specials, a lot of animated shows. In the last couple of years, 2 animated features for Warner Brothers. The last one, those were voiceover. The last one was with Adam West, of course, as Batman, myself as Robin, and William Shatner. Okay, as you remember, did you see that one?
Oh my
Okay.
God.
So many.
All
There's so
of
many. I
them.
can't keep track of them all.
Oh yeah, but in any event, so
So what you're telling us is you don't have to work
busy.
anymore.
You're telling us you don't have to work anymore.
Right,
Love
and
it.
then last December I guested on Supergirl just before the opening titles
Oh, fun. I
on
love
the
that
Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was played on all. There are 5 different shows they have, and this was like a super crisis that affected all of these various shows. So I've been very busy doing that, but also in the last 26 years, my wife and I have rescued more than 15,500 dogs, all of which would have been put to death if we hadn't been there
Wow.
to save their lives.
Oh.
We operate Gentle Giants Rescue and Adoptions, which is the world's largest giant breed rescue.
Oh.
Now,
amazing.
giant breeds are your Great Danes, Irish Wolfhounds,
Newfoundlands. I have 2.
Newfoundlands, Mastiffs, and we have some really giant dogs. Now, we also have smaller dogs too, because when we would rescue these bigger dogs, people would come by and say, "Well, you know, I've lost my house, or I have to move, and here's my Great Dane, but I've got my little dog here, my little Sheltie. I guess I'll have to take him to the shelter to be put to sleep."
No,
Mm.
God.
And then my wife Tracy and I would look at each other and say, no,
you can't say no.
You leave him here.
Aww.
So we actually, through the years, my wife has redefined the term Great Danes because that's where we actually started with Great Danes. So if it has 4 legs and a tail, it must be a Great Dane. And we now actually have 45 different breeds of dogs, ranging from tiny 2-pound Chinese cresteds. I don't know if you know what a Chinese.
Oh, they are a very special looking dog.
They're the hairless. Well, they come in 2 variations: the hairless dogs and the hairy hairless. And the small ones are about 1/3 the size of a Chihuahua. Chihuahua weighs 5.5 to 6 pounds. These dogs.
I'm very familiar with Chihuahuas.
2 pounds? 2 pounds as an adult?
We go from 2 pounds all the way up to 300 pounds.
Whoa!
And we feed 600 pounds of our food a day here.
I'm sorry. What dog weighs 300 pounds?
Like a
Great
mastiff.
Danes and English Mastiffs.
Really?
Yeah, we've seen that
not the regular size.
That's
the
that
regular
picture on the
size
internet.
Great Dane will weigh anywhere from 120 to 200 pounds, but these are giants.
Oh,
we have, for example, one of our dogs, Sammy. He stands on his hind legs. If he stands up, he's 7 feet.
Oh my gosh, we're seeing him now. For those watching our video
taller than
podcast.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh my gosh.
He weighs 285 pounds.
Shaquille wears more than that, I'm sure.
Wait, Bert, how tall are you so we can get a sense of that photo?
I'm only 5'7.5".
Oh, okay. So
Not
this
my
dog is
size.
just towering over.
Oh,
you.
he
It's incredible.
towers over. Oh, yeah. I look in his chest. He goes way up. Well, put it this way. I'll give you something you can relate to. We had the largest dog in the world here. His name was Avalanche. Okay. And he weighed 305 pounds. He was a Great Dane.
Oh my God.
And on all fours, not standing on his hind legs, but on all fours, the lowest part of his back was 45.5 inches, which, to give you an idea, is 5.5 inches higher than your kitchen counter.
Oh my gosh, do you have a picture of him? We're going to show
insane.
that.
Wow.
Wait, how do you get all 4 little paws on the scale? Do you have to use 4 scales?
Stop.
No, they actually use heavy duty scales.
There's
like
those
for
doggy
horses.
scales,
Oh,
like
yeah.
horse scale.
So in any event, here's the thing. Because the giant breeds traditionally have lived short lifespans, the Great Dane 7 to 9 years, and
So the
Wolfhounds
Newfies
and
too.
Mastiffs 6 to 8 years. When we didn't adopt one and we would lose one, we were devastated. I mean, literally, we would sob. And this goes back all the way. Well, we started in 1994. So that about 1996, when we came to the conclusion that we couldn't stand to see these beautiful, gentle giants dying at such a young age, just because that's what traditionally they did.
Yeah.
So we vowed that if there would be a way, we would try to find a way to help them live longer. And we first devised a feeding and care program. We have a special way of feeding and caring for dogs that is different from everybody else. And that program averages an extra 3 to 5 years of their lifespan just by the way you feed and care for them. In addition to that, so our Great Danes that were living 7 to 9 years were living like 10 to 12 years, which even by itself was tremendous.
Okay, so you're going to explain this because I
Yes,
have
it will.
a Newfie that's
But
almost
then
2 pounds.
and I'm sort of just giving you kind of a quick
old is he
overview.
now?
So, but that wasn't enough because we want them to live really long.
Yeah.
So we decided that we would make our own food for our dogs. We really at the time never thought about selling it or anything. This is really to care for our dogs. You have to understand, all 15,500 of our dogs have lived in our house with us. They're not in some building. They're not in some spread out among foster homes.
So your rescue
Every
is your
single
home.
one of those 15,500 has lived in our house with never less than 50 at a given time. Never less than 50.
Okay.
We have more than 50 in our house right now.
Can
You
I
are an
just?
earth
I just
angel.
have a question because I know our viewers are very interested. I'm just like I have a Newfie, 2 of them, and it's a 3-hander to pick up behind them. Like it's a 3-bagger just to like pick. I can't even imagine. Tell me you have a major system in place for like.
You mean for pooper scooping?
Yeah. That's
Work
what
with
I
the farm.
Well, we have these
Fertilizer.
industrial strength pooper scoopers. I mean, they're a little larger than your regular one.
That's a full-time job right there.
No, it's actually not that bad. It's not that bad. It is, but you got 600 pounds in, so you probably got 500 pounds out a day. And we have of course, where we live in a animal friendly community. We're actually live in the last Western town in America, an hour east of Los Angeles. It's called Norco. It's where horses have the right of way over cars. When you drive down our streets, instead
Lots
of the
soccer tournaments in
dotted
Norco.
white line, you see the dotted red, white, and blue lines. Very all American.
I love that.
And so by law, every home has to have horse trails in front of it and behind of it. Every commercial building has to have a Western theme. So you have to have horse tie-ups. The buildings have the Old West things. Every building by law. Okay, you can't put up a building without a Western theme. Even the McDonald's has a Western theme.
That's
the Burger King
awesome.
has a Western theme.
I want to go.
But coming back to what I wanted to say is that because we wanted these dogs to live longer, because we could afford it, we decided we would make our own food, the finest food in the world, which is different from every other dog food. Well, when we made the food, our dogs began living extremely long lives, doubling and tripling sometimes their lifespan. Our dogs now are living up to 27 and a half years.
That is
unheard of. Giant breeds too.
That's unheard of. So, okay, so the business has been in long. When did you found it? What year?
Well, the rescue started in 1994. We started making our dog food in 2003. But what would happen? I told you we never intended to sell this.
Yeah.
But what would happen is people would come to adopt a dog, and they'd see an 18-year-old Great Dane there.
That doesn't even happen.
15-year-old Newfoundland there, and they would say, and they'd say, "Oh gosh, that's amazing!" And they adopt a dog, and they say, "Well, what am I going to feed my dog?" And we said, "Well, you can do whatever you want." Well, no, wait a minute. Whatever you're feeding your dogs, we want that food.
She'll have what he's having.
Plan on selling it. Well, I'm not taking this dog if you don't let me have that food. So we quickly had to comply with labeling laws and go through all this. We're now qualified in every state in the United States to sell our food. But so people would take the food, and now they're getting the same results that we've been getting. For example, we took one dog, her name was Tara, a Russian wolfhound, traditional lifespan 7 to 9 years. She was turned into a shelter at age 12 because the people that turned her in said, "We don't want to, she's going to die. We can see she's old. We don't want her to die in our house. So we'd rather let her die at a shelter." So they put her in a shelter. We took her out of the shelter at 12. We began immediately put her on our food and on our feeding and care program. She lived to 27 and a half years. This is the dog that was left for dead. And by the way, Inside Edition, the television show, came out here when she was 25 years old. They taped a whole segment on her. And the title of the segment was, "Could this be the oldest living pooch in the world?"
Oh my God. Awesome. So then you didn't start packaging it, because if you do the math, you started in 2003 to 2021. That's only 18. Like, I'm trying to do the math. Like, how you started.
On the show.
You don't have to feed them. Our dog, your
Mindy's
dog,
a math
any
person,
dog at any age will greatly benefit from our food.
Okay, so you can start them at any age. You started you put her on as the minute you got her, and
I'm going to tell you how we do it. Would you like to know how we do it?
Hello, we're waiting.
27 years.
I'm on the edge.
We have doubled the average lifespan of almost every single dog. I would say, like right now, and some of our breeds, like Mastiffs that have only 6 to 8 years, the youngest dog we have here is 14 right now, up to 25. Okay. And so 65% of every one of the more than 50 we have here now have already lived twice their normal lifespan.
And do you do, sorry to interrupt, but do you do a 3 meal, like, for me, I don't feed my dog as much because I feel like it slows her down or doesn't make her feel good. So
that's all
she'll
wrong.
Get 1 meal and then I'll give her.
Oh, really? Let me ask you something.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
I'm going to give you a quick question. You've seen sumo wrestlers, haven't you, on television?
Yes.
You know they weren't born that way, right?
Right.
Okay. How do you think they got to be 400 or 500 pounds?
Yeah,
food.
I'll tell you the answer.
They feed them
1 meal a day at midnight before they went to sleep.
What?
Really?
Wait.
Let me ask you, would you like to go 24 hours every single day without a meal before you got fed yourself?
No.
You wouldn't do it to yourself. Why would you do it to a dog?
Right.
Well, no, I give her treats.
Unless you're intermittent fasting.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Treats are not food.
You're right.
Yeah.
So you believe in breakfast, lunch, and dinner regimen.
Right. The average person feeds their dog twice a day.
Twice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
And that cuts their lifespan in half.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
You're shortening your dog's lifespan by 50%.
Okay. What about free
feeding?
feeding? Is that a bad idea?
Free feeding, just leaving a bowl
That's
down?
also a bad
idea.
idea.
Yes, it is.
Because they have a body
idea.
clock. They need to get accustomed to a certain amount so
right.
their digestive system gets in a system.
Well,
right?
no, let me explain.
Why do we do it all wrong?
It's often easy to understand in human terms. So let's say that any one of you went to your family doctor for an annual check, right? And while you're there with the doctor, you ask the doctor the following question. Doctor, am I better off eating 1 or 2 big meals a day or 4 or 5 smaller meals a day? What do you think your doctor would say?
4 or 5 smaller meals.
You know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So why aren't you applying it to an animal that isn't as designed as well as a human being, that has a much shorter lifespan, that requires much more care, that can't eat different foods at different meals because their systems aren't designed to handle it? It is actually much more important to feed smaller, more frequent meals to your dog. Okay, we feed our dogs a minimum, if they're 6 months or older, a minimum of 5 or more times a day. Sometimes they eat 10 times a day. If you have a puppy under 6 months of age, we feed them 8 times a day.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And if you want to understand the science behind it, one of the great things that is shortening dogs' lives is their bodies wear out much faster than humans.
Mm-hmm.
So dogs don't normally die of, quote, old age. What happens is by the time a dog is 7 or 8 years old, it starts to have a problem getting up.
Yeah.
It starts to have a problem walking. And within a couple of years, that dog can't get up anymore. And when that dog, like your Newfoundland's, starts pooping and peeing on itself and you can't get the dog outside, that's when people take it to a vet to be euthanized, even though mentally the dog is perfectly alert. And sadly, the dog trusts you because it's spent its whole life with you.
I'm going to cry.
What a terrible injustice. So so people all the time, we get about 1,100 people a week that contact us. Facebook page, phone calls, emails, and they say things like this. I don't understand it. My dog is 8 years old. He's having trouble getting up, having trouble walking. And I look at your website and I see dogs in their 20s running around like puppies. It doesn't seem just. How can you do that? How can your dogs do that when mine can't? And the answer is science. Okay. So I'm going to tell you how we do it.
I'm so excited. I love this. This is like boy wonder scientist.
And I super want to visit your house, by the way. We'll come back to that later.
So first of all, okay. Now, I know, Mindy, you have a Newfoundland.
I have 2, and a
Chihuahua. You have 2.
And a Pomeranian.
Do either of you, the others, do you have dogs?
We have rescues, right?
Yeah.
Right, but
Whatever.
you have
2
dogs,
Chihuahuas
right?
here.
Right.
And I have a pit bull.
And a cat. And a cat.
Terrier.
All right. So you all love your pets. You love your dogs, right?
Yes.
I mean, they love you unconditionally.
Yeah.
You want them to be with you
forever.
as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
let me tell you, the first thing that I'm going to show you something that you can quickly relate to why your dogs can't live as long as ours. All right. When you go home today, go get some of your dog's food. Just get like 3 or 4 kibbles of the food, right? Whatever one, doesn't matter which one you're feeding because they're all the same in one respect. Okay. And you feel those kibbles in your finger, you kind of rub them together, and then you put the kibbles down and rub your fingers together and see if you don't feel that slightly greasy feeling.
Greasy, yeah.
You know it's there, don't you? You already know it's there.
Yes, it's gross.
You can check their bowl after they eat. If you're brave, you can stick your hand down the inside of the bag below the level of the food and feel why they have a plastic inner coating so that the grease doesn't come through to show on the outside of the bag. So what happens is dog food companies, they're in the business to sell dog food.
That's large amounts. So
right, the more the better.
Products.
Well, there's something they know that the average person doesn't know, which is the more fat content you put in dog food, the hungrier it makes dogs.
Oh.
It makes dogs eat about a third more when you put a lot of fat in the food.
That's true
now,
for humans.
All you have to do is look at the back of your bag of dog food. Next to the ingredients is a chart required by federal law called guaranteed analysis. The first item is protein. The second is crude fat. It doesn't say healthy fat, and it doesn't say just fat.
Just the word
says
is crude
fat because it includes saturated fats.
Mm.
You're going to find that the food you're feeding your dog is somewhere between 12 to 22% pure crude fat.
Ew.
Wow.
So
Does
how
that
do we
sound
get
healthy?
your food? How do we
I
get
have it.
your
I
food?
ordered it on Chewy. I got 2 big bags of it.
Oh, so it was on Chewy.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So let me explain. So
I
the
tried to
fact
find it
is-
at Target. I couldn't find it, but I know you sell it there.
Well,
It's called Gentle
not
Giant,
every
right?
store has it, but most of them do.
Okay.
But let me tell you, because I'm telling you how to do this now, and all of your viewers, they're going to learn a tremendous lesson here because this is real. We live this every single day. I mean, why do we know so much? Because if you lived with 15,500 dogs in your home 24/7 for 26 years, anybody would learn a lot.
Heck
right?
yeah, you're an expert.
You can't survive if you didn't. So here's the thing about the fat content. Not only is it in the food, but what I've described to you is what you're feeling on the outside of the food.
Yeah.
Now, let me explain how deadly that is.
Oh,
Think of
no.
it this way. Would you guys take a can of bacon fat or turkey fat or chicken fat and pour it down your garbage disposal at home? Would you do that?
No.
You would not
Because
do
it would
that
clog the
because
drain.
you know that unlike water that evaporates, animal fat coagulates. And when it hardens, it's like cement. So if you took a can of bacon fat and you just poured it down your garbage disposal, went out, came back 4 or 5 hours later, you would have a
clog.
cement fat. It's so hard. When you call the plumber, he would tell you, I can't get it out. You got to put in a new garbage disposal. So what is my point? The point is when you realize that animal fat will ruin a metal garbage disposal. What do you think is happening to the arteries and intestines of your dog when
crap.
every
And
single
us.
Really
day,
failing our dogs.
every single meal, every single bite, every single kibble is encapsulated in animal fat?
Okay,
It's
now,
really
you know what?
killing.
I've been pouring bacon grease, not always, but when I make bacon, once in a while, they get the extra fat, and they love it, of course, because it tastes good. But I will never do that again. Thank you.
You know what? That has been
Because
so
the food you
helpful,
already
Burt.
have
Truly,
is-
it's remarkable.
Well, that's
too.
just one thing. Now I'm going to tell you something else that's gigantic. On our website, gentlegiantsdogfood.com, we have a section called our special feeding and care program because you know what a combination lock is, where like you turn it to the left to a certain number, if you want to open it, and you got to turn it back to the right to another, and then back to the left. And you know that if you don't get all 3 of those correct, the lock won't open.
Good analogy.
This is how our program works. It is a combination of 3 things that creates the longevity. 1, how you care for your dog. 2, how you feed your dog. And 3, what you feed your dog. Okay, so we started to touch on how you feed your dog. I mean, how you feed your dog. The one thing I wanted to mention, I wanted to ask you, when you feed your dogs, okay, where do you put their food and water bowls when you feed them?
I have it on a raised thing, so they don't have to reach down so far. It's a little
in
higher.
Mindy, how high is yours off the ground?
I want to say he barely leans over because it's pretty tall. It's like maybe.
Well, you're showing me right now
Maybe
about 12 to 14 inches.
Maybe that high. Yeah, he's
okay.
Yeah.
If you look at your Newfoundlands, they're a lot taller than 12 to 14 inches, aren't they?
Yeah.
They still lean down to eat.
You know what?
Okay.
I gave the Newfound the other day. I gave it on a higher platform, and he was like eating sideways to get the food. So I didn't think that was good because it was. Literally up to his
let me
chin.
explain to you something. Okay. One of the reasons and we talked about how dogs' bodies wear out so quickly, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, think of it this way. If you put the food down low, even where you're using now, which is raised, which is better than on the floor, but it's still not high enough.
Right.
Okay. What happens is every single day your dog eats and drinks, they go down to get the food, come up, down to get the water, up and
moving.
down and up. You're prematurely wearing their bodies out.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So when people ask me, well, I don't understand. My dog can hardly get up. My dog can't walk very good. And yours are running around like puppies in their 20s. How can that be? I've just explained to you how. Think of it this way. If you had a drought where you lived and the city started to conserve water, right? That would mean you couldn't get all you wanted. You have to conserve it so it would last longer. Well, we found a way to conserve dogs' energy. Just like on Batman, when you remember the old hourglasses where the sands of time are running out, right? Almost every episode, there was something like an hourglass that was there. Well, what we have found is that we found a way to slow down the loss of energy. to conserve a dog's energy so it lasts longer. So when people have their dogs up and down eating like that, okay, that's wearing them out. The other problem is digestion. Digestion takes an enormous amount of effort to digest. Quick human example. Have you ever in your lifetime ever gone out to maybe a buffet or a friend's house? You ate too much. You came home and you literally had to lie down to digest your food. Has that ever happened?
No, I've never seen
I'm looking at JD and he's saying not daily.
No buttons are popping off today, though.
Okay,
think what happened. What was happening? Why did you literally lie down to digest your food?
It's uncomfortable.
Because your body was shutting down. Your body was saying, we need to digest this food.
We don't want to use any energy for standing.
Only once or twice a day, you are making that dog's body go through that massive digestive effort every single day, and it's prematurely wearing their bodies out.
Oh,
that's the bottom line.
I am blown away by the things that we've learned, not only about how to care for our dogs, but how we've, just the dog food industry is just, not thinking.
It's not dog friendly.
For sure.
The dog food industry is not dog friendly.
But I want to take a really hard left turn here, okay? Because I want to make sure what we've been talking about.
Man's best friend.
Man's best
which
friend.
is amazing. And I love your shared passion with your wife, which we always talk too about. The secret to a marriage is a friendship, and the fact that you have this shared passion to have a rescue. You might have a partner who's like, I don't want to have a rescue. Like, I'm not into dogs as much as you are. So you really found such a great life partner to be on this journey with. But I want to go back to the 60s. I'm dying to talk because we are a show about friendship.
Well, we're all about friends. We're talking about the dogs. That is our best friend in the planet. I'm loving this.
But you and Adam West, Batman, shared a very special friendship. And I want to touch on that too.
Sure.
Because you were only 19 years old.
Wow.
No, I was 20.
Oh,
21.
I was legal.
I don't know somehow that I don't know the reporting about that. This was 1965. I was born in 1945. That's the Batman came out January 12th, 1966. So I was just turning 21. So I actually had to go to court. In those days, you couldn't sign a contract if you were under 21 years of age. It wasn't valid unless you had your parents sign, and you had to go to court to get it approved. So I was just turning 21. I was 20 and a half when I got the series.
And Adam West, how you guys obviously played the duo,
the dynamic
of a lifetime, but in real life, you guys developed
we
real
were
special
great
friendship.
Friends. We were great friends. I met him at my screen test. Okay. And a quick story about how I got the role, if you're interested. I was studying acting professionally, and I was also studying at UCLA, where I was attending college. And I was helping my father on the weekend selling houses, because he was a prominent real estate broker. I actually got my real estate license when I turned 18. I was the youngest in California to get a real estate license.
Wow.
But but I would sit there on the weekends, at houses they call open houses, and people go in, and there's always good to have somebody there to hand out a brochure or try to answer a question. Well, there was a very famous producer named Saul David, who produced the Von Ryan's Express movies and Skullduggery, and he came in to look at a house and ultimately bought the house. And I got talking to him, and I asked him if I could do a scene for him. I mean, here he is on a weekend looking at houses. He's not interviewing actors, right?
Wow.
But he was like, okay. So I did the scene for him, and he said, let me see if I can help you. I think you've got a lot of talent. Let me send you to an agent. So he sent me to an agent. And the agent said to me, the first thing he said is, I can't get work for the actors I've got. I would never take anybody new. And the only reason I'm taking you is because this producer sent you to me, and don't expect to work for a year.
Wow.
And if you do work, you might get one sentence or one line.
Bird of happiness.
Holy lucky break, Robin.
Right. So I was like, okay. So it was a couple of weeks later that I got a phone call from someone in the office who said, there's something going on over at 20th Century Fox. We don't know what it is, but we did get you an appointment. So go there tomorrow at 4:30. They'll give you a drive-on pass, and they'll show you where to go for the interview. So I did. And I went in to see a casting director. Now, you have to understand, even though I'd been studying for years professionally and studying at UCLA, where I was attending college. I was supposed to be a nuclear physicist, by the way, because I placed in the top 3% of the country in math and science on the college level.
Hello.
But in any event,
Hashtag retirement goals.
I met this casting director. He asked me a couple of questions. He didn't say anything about it. And he said, would you like to meet the executive producer? I said, sure. I mean, I figured everybody got to meet the executive producer. Well, that's not true, but I didn't know that. So he sent me to another bungalow, and I went in to see this executive producer. And maybe because I had never been on an interview before, I wasn't intimidated. My ego wasn't destroyed from so much rejection, like so many wonderful actors have experienced.
And you've been selling houses in a really professional career where you're dealing with people all the time.
So
just a
I
cool
just
guy,
walked
too,
right
really
in,
nice person.
and I just said, hello, sir. And I shook his hand, and he's like, an actor, this kind of aggressive, but in a friendly way. And he looked at me for a minute. He says, well, you're kind of big for the part. I said, oh, but sir, I promise you, I won't grow anymore. And he laughed. Like, how could you promise something like that?
That's
and then,
hilarious.
he asked me a couple of questions. Said, would you like to do a screen test? I said, sure. I figured everybody got to do a screen test. Well,
my gosh.
That's not true either.
Wow.
So when I went to the screen test a couple of weeks later, they wanted to see some athletic ability. At the time, I was a brown belt in karate.
Whoa.
And this is in 1965. Karate had only come to the United States in 1959. Most people never heard of it. I broke a board with my hand. I did some falls and some judo stuff.
Wow.
And then I had a scene to do, they said, with another actor. And I was given a single sheet of paper that had paragraphs on it. And the paragraph would say Bruce with the words, and then Dick with some dialogue. Not Bruce Wayne or
No,
Dick
you had no
Grayson.
idea.
Bruce and Dick and nothing. Okay. So, and then they said, I'm going to introduce you to the actor that you're going to read with. I said, okay, fine. So I went and I sat down to this actor, and he introduced himself. His name was Adam West.
Wow.
Well, Adam and I talked, and in 5 minutes, we had 15 minutes to go over stuff, but in the first 5 minutes of talking to this man, the two of us were laughing, and we never stopped laughing for more than 50 years.
Oh my God.
We were like instant friends. You know how, like with some people, you just click.
Oh, we know.
Right.
Oh, we know.
Just click.
I never stopped laughing.
So anyway, so we did the scene, and again, this is Bruce and Dick. There's nothing about Batman. There's nothing about. So I said, well, thank you very much. And they said, well, no, wait a minute. We're not done with you yet. I said, oh, I thought I was done. No. Burt, we want you to go over to the other side of that soundstage. I'm telling you, these things are so gigantic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like walking
a mile
2 blocks.
away.
You just go over there, and we've got 2 wardrobe men waiting in a trailer for you to help you get dressed. And I paused for a minute. I said, well, no
am
disrespect, but I'm perfectly capable of dressing myself. Oh, no, you don't understand. You just go over there. You go over there, and you'll see. So I walk all the way over to the end of the soundstage. I go into this little trailer, and it's like a big giant couch in there, or whatever it is, huge mattress type thing. And there's a ton of stuff on there. And I turned to one of the guys and I said, am I going to put some of this on? They said, no, you're going to put all of it on. I said, what? They get me dressed. The most uncomfortable thing in my entire life. Nothing. Everything itched or hurt or pinched. Nothing. My mask irritated my eyelashes. The tights pulled the hair on my leg. The vest poked through my t-shirt and irritated my chest. The cape pulled my head back. It's like, double thick bridal satin pulling. Everything was horrible. The shoes were too tight. Nothing worked.
Welcome to fashion.
But the positive person that I was and still try to be, as I was leaving and I almost broke my neck stepping out of the trailer because you can't see down. I only could see straight ahead.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Dangerous.
so
So
funny.
being the positive person that I am, I turned to these 2 wardrobe guys. I said, well, the good news here is that after another 15 or 20 minutes, I'll never have to put this costume on again. Famous last words.
That's so
look at that.
much.
For those watching on our video podcast, you're looking at Robin right now.
I love your innocence.
That's
I love
so
how
incredible.
you were
I always
literally
wondered.
in the depths of a audition and didn't even know what role you were
I
going
know.
for. Didn't I mean?
Well,
And now
listen,
he's
there's
part of the
something
fabric
interesting.
of
So,
comic history.
and when I saw Adam dressed in this costume, you see, where I grew up, there were Superman comic books. Okay, and occasionally you'd see a Superboy comic book, but there was no Batman.
Right.
I never even heard of Batman, and nobody said Batman. So I didn't know if this was some Shakespearean piece or something. I had no idea.
Just some guy named Bruce that you had to act opposite.
Oh,
Boy, you
my
So
God.
anyway, long story short, 3 or 4 weeks later, I had been getting calls. After the first 2 weeks, I started getting calls from the studio. What is your shoe size? Oh, 7.5. What is your hat size? Well, I don't wear a hat. well, go get your head measured.
Oh,
Well,
my
where do I go to
God,
get my
that
head
is
measured?
so-
I mean, I don't understand all this, right?
Wow.
So anyway, I go, and then the agents call me and they say, we've decided that we're going to go ahead and sign you. And I said, fantastic. So I drove over to the agencies, and now I'm like, wow, I'm going to be represented. I'm going to actually have agents. So I sat down and I looked at the contracts, and they said 20th Century Fox on them. I said, well, wait a minute. I thought I was signing the agency contract. No, those are your studio contracts. You mean I
Wow.
got the role? You mean the studio didn't tell you? No, nobody told me. And the studio, when I talked to them, they thought the agents told me. So I had the role 4 of the last 6 weeks, but nobody had told me.
Okay, that
Oh my God.
so funny.
And here's the key thing. When I went first day to go to the studio, okay, this is before shooting. Okay, I went there, and I saw the executive producer again, William Dozier, and he said something to me that was very interesting. He said, Burt, would you like to know why we selected you to play Robin?
Yeah.
I said, yes, sir, I would. He said, we interviewed 1,100 young actors
Wow.
over a 2-year period. Okay. And the reason we picked you is because forget television for a minute. If there really was a Robin, I mean, like the real thing, we think you personally would be it.
Oh,
So we don't
That's
want you to
amazing.
quote act.
Oh my God.
We want you to be yourself and be enthusiastic. That's all we want you to do. And that's what I did
Wow.
for 120 episodes. So on the first
that was
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. And now
Yay.
what's crazy about this, Burt, is now you are part of the fabric of comic history and kind of you're iconic. I mean, I covered
Totally iconic.
CinemaCon for several years at CNN, and I know several times you were there. You've been to CinemaCon, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Comic-
Yeah.
and Comic-Con
Yeah.
too?
Sorry, not CinemaCon, Comic-Con. Yes, Comic-Con.
I did hundreds of those. But so something that you might find interesting is that, like, when I started filming, again, remember, studying is one thing. Doing it in the real world, under the cameras and lights is a little bit different. But here's something that happened on one of the first days of filming. We were driving up the Batmobile, driving up to outside this museum, and we race up, and they set up the lights and everything. And the way it works, they light for 45 minutes.
Oh
You
my
work for
God.
30 seconds.
Yeah, it's
45 minutes, 30 seconds. 45. It's like,
Yeah.
So anyway.
Hurry up
so
and wait.
Right. Now, most people get out of the car going out the door. Okay. Well, I was motivated. Okay. Usually that I would jump over the door, in or out.
Dukes of
But
Hazzard
this time
style.
when I pulled up, knowing that we pulled up and kind of in such a way that we were going to go to this building behind me, I stood up in the seat. Instead of going out the door, which they were all lit for, I stood up in the seat, stood on the door, and walked along the back fin, the sharp fin, to the end, and jumped off. And the director says, "Cut! Cut! What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just doing the scene." Wait, you didn't tell us you're going to do that, okay? And the director his name is Robert Butler, and so everybody was all upset with me, okay? And he said, "But wait a minute," he says, "I like what you did. It's better than just getting it." It was so natural. It was just like you would really do it.
That's what
It's,
you
all
would
right,
do, 'cause
everybody,
you
lay
did.
the track down, get the camera on a dolly. We're going to do this the way that he did it. And they did that. And that
But didn't you
began the
also do all
beginning
your own
of where they
stunts?
let me, for the most part, do anything I wanted as long as I
Yeah.
stayed within, and by the way, interesting, for Adam and I, not one director in 120 episodes ever told either of us how to say a line. Not
Wow.
one time.
You
And
guys were
directors direct.
in sync.
Interesting.
You're a
Last
director's
year, I got my
dream.
star on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, we
Congratulations!
saw. That was
That's
really a
awesome.
wonderful
so
thing.
Awesome.
And
Look at that.
it's amazing because it is 3 feet away from Adam's star.
No
Oh.
way.
And
they're facing each
Wait,
other.
where on Hollywood
And about
Boulevard
the
is it?
Same
Ultimate
distance. They
friendship.
purposely did it as
Yeah.
though we were doing a scene together.
Oh, that's
That
so
would be,
cool.
and maybe it was 5 feet apart, but it's exactly the same distance we would do our stuff together, right in front of the Guinness Museum
yes.
of World Records, very
Oh
famous.
my
Yep.
God.
And it's very traditional for people that get their star on Hollywood Boulevard to give some kind of a little party afterwards, which
Yeah.
is kind of thanking the industry and all of that. So around the corner from the Guinness Museum of World Records
Mel's.
is the Hollywood Museum.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Oh my God.
my wife and I rented out the Hollywood Museum. We invited lots of people there. And one of the people that came there, I didn't know he had been invited because our press agent was putting it together, Roger Neal, was Robert Butler, the director who
wow.
directed me in the pilot episode.
my
And I mean, I hadn't seen the man in 55 years.
Wow.
And I hugged him, and he said, "Burt, I have a story for you."
Oh, I love this story. I love
This is
these.
good.
This is so
And,
good.
and I said, "Yes." He said, "You remember when we first met on the first day? You know what I mean? When we were doing run-throughs and rehearsals?" I said, "Yeah, I kind of remember." He said, "Do you remember that I came over to talk to you?" I said, "Yeah, I do remember that." He said, "The executive producer, William Dozier, said to me, we just hired this kid to play Robin. We don't know if you can work with him or not. We'd like you to go over, pull him aside, talk to him, and see if you can work with him or not." Okay. And I remember him coming over to me, and here was like the director, right? Like, you know, he's like the super guy on the set, is the director, and asking me to talk with him. And I talked with him, and he told me the story that he went back after talking with me to the executive producer, William Dozier. He said, "Do you think you can work with him?" He says, "The kid is a natural." He says, "I'm not going to direct him anything other than tell him the basic stuff, because when somebody has it right, you don't blank with it."
Mess with
Don't
it.
fix what isn't
We'll
broken.
blank that
You
for
can
And
say it
as
here
a result
for a
of that,
podcast.
I mean, here I'm finding out 55 years later.
Wow.
What a
This is a
compliment.
beautiful
And you
full
were just,
circle
It
story.
was your destiny. I have to ask, who was your favorite villain? Who do you think was the most worthy adversary of Batman and Robin?
Well, you know, a lot of people ask, but think of it this way. Suppose you're a young actor and you're working
All right,
every week
Catwoman.
with major stars, people that you had watched on television and in movies as you grew up. Let me tell you, I was the kid in the candy store. Every one of these people was like, "Oh my gosh, Vincent Price. Okay. Oh, you know, Cesar Romero, you know, Burgess Meredith, Frank Gorshin, Julie Newmar. I mean, everyone, you know, so many great, you know, Cliff Robertson, so many great actors that, and I was working with them.
Wow.
So for
Wow.
me, I was thrilled with
How
everyone.
could you pick? How could you
Everyone.
even
It's
pick?
a universe. When something happens and it really has to happen, it just happens. You know, you were
Right.
1,100 people. I mean, that's
Yeah.
astonishing. And then, honestly, you know what it is, Burt? You are infectious.
You are. You have an infectious
and you are a
personality. I
superhero.
can see that. You
Anybody
are.
who can get this much screen time with the three of us is a superhero. Let me
Well,
tell you that.
Can I tell you
okay?
something? It's a good thing you haven't talked to my wife yet, Tracy, because if you talked to her before talking to me, you would think I was a mute.
Oh,
Really?
gosh.
Wow.
Oh my gosh!
You
she
saved
could
it for
out-talk
us.
me 10-1.
That's
you should be the
hilarious.
two of us trying to get the first
Oh
word
my
in, much
God, I
less the
love
last
it.
word.
I want to get
Well,
them both on
one
here.
thing you did for Adam, and I know you guys had that famous, what was it, the Papootsie dance, but you
No,
did something.
Batusi.
Batusi.
Yeah.
Batusi.
Can we do a little? How
does
did
it
it
go?
go? It was sort
Yeah,
of like
it was like na 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 like this. Okay.
It's like a little bit of Pulp Fiction, but it's like
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Pulp Fiction.
Adam was. Let me tell you. I wish you could have met him. I don't know if Mindy, if you met him. Let me tell you something. He was the funniest person, naturally funny. You know, I mean, and what made him so funny was because he really saw himself as something really bigger than life. You know what I mean? I mean, he said to me one time, "You know, there's the 3 B's, Burt." I said, "Well, what's the 3 B's?" "Well, there's Bond, Beatles, and Batman." And then another time he came to me and said, "You know, I really realize now what it was like to play Batman, how important it was." I said, "Really? Well, what gave you this inspiration?" He said, "I just watched Charlton Heston in the 10 Commandments, okay, receiving the word of God on the Sermon on the Mount. And then I realized how important Batman was." Oh, Adam, oh my God, please don't tell anybody that, Adam. You know, so as big and grand and stoic as he was, I was fast talking in this. And we, you know, the great comic duos have always had contrast.
the yin and
Contrast.
yang.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
I
know
think
what?
that's the ultimate story of friendship too, because
Oh,
we
100%.
offer such different things in our friendship and to make that full
solid.
circle. But I want to
It's
do
the
a
humor.
boy.
Can I say
want
one
to
thing
do
about what he just
Oh,
said?
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
because he said something about how Burt made him laugh. And I think about this all the time. Like, vulnerability is kind of like the bonding stuff of friendship. But really, the glue of friendship is laughter.
laughter.
And,
100%.
and we know that so well. And I could totally see you and Burt being besties. Sorry.
Adam.
Sorry, Burt.
But
Let me
You're
just
listen to me. I got 1 hour sleep. I will tell you something about Adam, a little risque here. Okay, at Filmation, which was a very prominent, animation studio, we did a series of a Batman, an animated series with a little character called Batmite, and we did this together. And the one of the owners, Norm Prescott, and then Lou Scheimer, those were the two owners of the studio. One time, Norm Prescott, the president, came to me and said, "Let me tell you something. You really got a character in your friend Adam." I said, "Oh, well, yeah, Adam is pretty wild and crazy." He said, "He's the only person I ever met that everything he says has a sexual connotation."
Mm-hmm. He did have that.
Sounds like
we
me.
would be signing autographs. Listen to this. We would be signing autographs. We did thousands of appearances together, many of them in costume, later on some out of costume, over time. But we would do them in costume, and there'd be some attractive ladies coming up on the stage to get their autograph. And Adam would say, and he's in costume and with that deep, very, tremendous voice.
Batman voice.
I've got an itch in my ear. Would you scratch my cowl? Okay. And so they're like, okay, I've got to scratch cowl. And he says, you're a very beautiful person. He says, as I look at you, I'm getting strange stirrings in my utility belt.
Oh my God.
Oh dear.
I mean, and he would say these weird things.
Oh my God.
And oh my God, it's like,
there wasn't much room for.
I am dying sitting next to him, but he was such a wonderful man, and he's
a great wingman. You were his wingman.
We were great friends.
I love it. That's why you're
friends.
here, because it was the perfect marriage to talk about friendship. And I loved the show. I watched it. Instead, at the end of each show, we do a word of the day. But instead of word of the day, I want to do a rapid fire, holy reflection Batman moment.
Okay.
Can we each do a round robin? You start, JD. Give your best holy something Batman. Then you, Bert. All right, let's go.
Holy dog rescue.
Batman.
Oh, shoot.
Come on, do it again. You got to do it right.
Mindy's the one hit wonder, not me. I take it several times to get something right.
Oh my God.
Is that okay what I just did?
Yes.
Okay, 3, 2. Holy dog rescue, Batman.
Holy midlife, Batman.
Holy friendship, Batman.
Holy interviews, Batman.
Yeah.
Holy cow, Batman. We have wrapped the end of this show and I don't want to go. Oh, dang it. This has been so fun.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours,
Bert,
literally
I
for
want
hours.
your infectious energy.
Totally.
In bottled. Maybe it's in your dog food.
I'm start eating the dog food myself.
They're healthy. You're going to live twice as long. You'll be 200.
I wanted. Okay, you know what? He didn't answer one question. Where do I feed my dog then? How high do I put the bowl? That was one thing.
No,
he never told me.
Specific height for every dog.
Neck
Right.
height.
And that specific height
Okay.
is such when your dog comes over to eat or drink, they never lean down. They only tilt their head down.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Okay.
I just didn't get that.
Tilt
And
height.
give us your website again.
GentleGiantsDogFood.com, and something very important, just real quick, so that you know, there's a wonderful video on our special feeding and care program.
Oh, good, because I wanted to know more
Explains
about
all
that.
about it, but there's a video done by veterinarians. We didn't produce it; someone else did. And all these veterinarians today are saying the following. These are from all over the U.S., even some from the UK. On this video, it's about 8 or 9 minutes. And they're saying 10, 15, 20 years ago, they would see one patient a month with cancer. Now, because of the GMOs in the food, genetically modified organisms, they're saying every single day, 1 out of every 2 patients has cancer.
Yeah.
So our food
That's
has
cancer.
no
That's
GMOs in it.
Yay.
We're one of the very few with no GMOs.
Well, my dog's on.
GentleGiantRescue.com. Is that it?
So
Gentle Giant
So
Rescue?
GentleGiantsDogFood.com.
Oh,
But there's cat
GentleGiantsDogFood.com.
food too, and I'm
good.
gonna say it right here, Bert. I'm getting rid of all my food, and
I am
I'm gonna
too.
order your food.
Same.
Because my cat is 14, my dog is 8.
We got to feed our cat food. We just lost the last year 2 of our cats. One was 31 and one was 32. Okay.
Holy cat life,
let me
Batman.
tell you,
I
we
would love to
had
have
our cat
patty
food
cakes
for about
for
a year.
Holy longevity,
but
Batman.
Our cats were eating our dog food. You have to understand, pure nutrition is pure nutrition.
Wow.
Cats need a little bit more vitamins
Yeah.
and stuff, which we now have in our new cat food. But it was the same food, same basic food. But don't throw out your food first, because Our food is so different that you need to mix what you've been
Yeah, they
feeding
did
the
not
cars
eat it.
over a
Slowly
1 week period
evolve.
in the following proportion. Day 1, 80-20, 80% of the
Got
old
it.
food, 20% Gentle Giant. Day 2, 70-30, day 3, 60-40, on to the
'Cause they
end.
get
So
used
the
to what they
transition
like.
is slow and
Yeah.
not so hard on your dog.
Oh,
math.
listen, Robin.
You're
I did
amazing.
cold. I went cold turkey.
It's Burt.
I know. I like
Burt.
saying Robin. I went cold
Dick.
turkey, and my
Why not
dogs.
Dick?
My dogs did
Man
not
of
eat
many
it
names.
for two days. They sat there
Well,
and they
and you know
didn't.
why? The reason
Wow.
why?
Too high.
Because you were giving them something different, and they let me tell you, we know dog psychology.
Yeah.
Those dogs were saying to themselves, "Oh, this is obviously not for me to eat
Yeah.
because this is not my food."
Yeah,
but how
doesn't
you
smell
do it
the
is by
same.
when you blend it together.
Shoulda.
It's a nice transition.
I've learned so much today.
This
Thank
is
you. I'm going to be a
really
much
amazing.
better dog owner.
One
Thank you.
more rapid fire Holy Batman. What was your favorite Holy Batman?
She is in love with this. I love it.
I said it
It's
for
kind of
years.
epic.
I had 400. Oh, wait a minute. Was it 386 on the show plus the Batman movie put over 400? But the key about the Holies was they were always integral to the scene that
Yes,
we were doing.
yes.
Of course.
It wasn't like just an
Random.
obtuse kind of thing. You know what I mean? So whatever we were doing, that would be the basis for the holy this or holy
Hey,
that.
Like
Bert,
holy dog
would you
food,
give
Batman.
would you give us a holy Friendsome and Then Some?
Holy Friendsome and Then Some, Batman. Golly gee willikers.
That's awesome. That's so
He
cool.
said gee willikers.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was an awesome show. You learned a
Thank
ton. You know where to find us. You know where to get them.
Yes, gentlegiantsdogfood.com. I'm there. I'm
Yay.
feeding my dogs. They're going to live forever, and we can't wait to have you back on again with your best friend wife. Thank you for now, Bert. Now you are part of our Friendsome. You are part of our Friendsome. So thank you for everything.
Well,
love
thank
you.
you,
Welcome.
citizens. And as we said on Batman, to the Batmobile.
Thank you for listening to Friendsome and Then Some.
Did you like what you heard today on our podcast? Or did you like what you saw on our vidcast? Were you watching?
How about sending us a comment or suggestion on any topic you want us to talk about?
We'll have new episodes every Tuesday. Please join in the conversation on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. You can download our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. See you next time on
Friendsome and Then Some.